Everybody, hello and welcome to Stories of Indigenousness, Land and Belonging, which is Belong's first panel for the India Week Festival at the Australia India Institute. Belong is a social impact firm based out of India that works towards promoting diversity and inclusion through various services and community experiences. The Mental Health Collective and the Inclusive Schools program at Belong works towards intersectional mental health and education. The Research Collective focuses on curating inclusive research and speaker platforms, and the Literature Collective works to harness the power of diverse literature to create kinder communities. So, before I go ahead and announce the panel, I have a quick announcement to make. The Belong Literature Collective is super excited to announce our new short format literary content app, which is called Unother, spelled Unother, which aims to demystify and destigmatize the quote unquote other and centers diversity and inclusion for South Asian audiences. The app is now live on Google Play Store, and I'll be sharing the link in the chat so you can go ahead and download it to get access to high quality book summaries, interviews, local reading groups with discussions on feminism, gender, sexuality, race, caste, disability, faith, and more. There are a range of subscription plans and promo codes that users can choose from, and we will soon be launching some exciting features such as podcasts and events as well. The iOS version will be launched very soon. We would love to hear your thoughts about the app, so please feel free to reach out to us on our Instagram channel, which is at the rate House of Belong with a double G. And you can write to us at contact@belong.net as well. So let's move on to the panel without any further ado. This session will be moderated by Hercules Singh Munda, who is the founder of Trilingo, which is a digital organization that works towards fostering and promoting tribal cultures and languages from across India and the world. It has been selected by the Indian School of Business among the top 10 social enterprises in India, and Hercules will soon be going to SOAS University of London to study linguistics and language sciences on a full scholarship. Thank you so much for joining us, Hercules. Dr. Vasavi Kiro, who is our panelist, is an indigenous journalist who belongs to the Uraon and Kharia tribal group. She has written extensively about the issues faced by tribal communities in India with a focus on the rights of tribal women. Her work has been published in several leading newspapers and journals, and she has won multiple national awards for her journalism and social work. Dr. Kiro has represented Jharkhand in various national and international forums on tribal health and rights. Thank you, Dr. Kiro, for joining us. We're so excited to have you here today.
Yeah,
Um, so, Unfortunately, our second panelist, Jacinta Kirketta, will not be able to join us today due to health issues. We are extremely sorry about that. However, still looking forward to this, what promises to be a great conversation. And I'm going to hand over the mic to Hercules now, and he's going to take it ahead.
Hello everyone, Johar, which means hello in Mundari language. I would like to welcome each and every one of you who are present over here. To name some of you, I see people from I see Sarah, Suzanne, Renu, Lashya, and from the University of Melbourne. So I welcome each and every one of you, and I wish you a happy World Indigenous Day. Uh, Thank you to Zinnia for the lovely introduction and to Dr. Wasabi for taking out time in such a small notice. And I've personally worked with Dr. Wasabi, ma'am, and I know what energy she has, her level of dedication and her enthusiasm and her motivation is very contagious. In fact, she has been one of my role model and a godmother who has directed me over the last 1.5 year. And it is because of her that Trilingo is has been successful in doing what we are doing. So a big massive thank you. On that note, I like to start the start the discussion and mm, so Dr. Wasabi ma'am, I would like to start with a question like about yourself. Uh, you have seen a tremendous amount of time and so can you kindly introduce tell us about your origin, where do you come from, and take us through the times you have been.
Thank you so much. Civil Johar, Enghe Name Dr. Vasavi Kiro, और Akun Isanu Rachinu Ara Mahilong Enghe Padari, Enghe Erpari, Enghe original Patrick Padari Mander, Chatwal Padari, Padde Nami Chatwal, Padde Name Chatwal. Enghe भाषा कुड़ुख रही और इन कुड़ुख उराव आदिवासी कुड़ुख भाखा बाने और कुड़ुख भाषा नु एंगे नलख मा रही और कुड़ुख भाषा नु एंगे कामकाज की भाषा मा रही एंगे नलख की भाषा कामकाज की भाषा अंग्रेजी हिंदी सादरी नु रही कुड़ुख नु अंदर बाने मेन मुख्य नलख एंगे रही लिखना पढ़ना आंदोलन अदी ट्राइबल एजेंडा नीन इंग्लिश नु बुजुर्ग के ट्राइबल एजेंडा आदिवासी जल जंगल जमीन भाखा आइडेंटिटी सर्वाइवल बग्गे इशू रही बग्गे विषय रही कुड़ुख नु अकुन मा लिखा बा लगी कुड़ुख नु उन 5-6 कविता एंगे कविता एन लिखित की रहन तो एंगे परिचय सवाल तो रही कि नेम एंड यू आर फ्रॉम तो आई थिंक किया एंगे नेम नाम और वेयर आई एम फ्रॉम
If you could kindly translate the same in English.
काम नलक प्रोफेशन एंगे परिवार नु मिश्रित भाषा नु कछ नखरेन मिश्रित भाषा हिंदी सादरी और एंगे बहु भाई गी वाइफ राने आर कुड़ुख नु कछ नखरना है लेकिन ज्यादा बग्गे कछ नखरना मनी कुड़ुख हिंदी नु और सादरी नु तो इन्नम कुड़ुख नु इतना परिचय काफी रही.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for the lovely introduction. Could you also translate it to English for the audience who are not, who don't understand English in Sadri or Hindi?
Thank you so much, Hercules Singh and Genia. And I want to thank especially to organize this special event focusing on tribal language and literature. It's amazing to be part of this program event and with along with very particular questions that you are asking and you had already sent by email. It's unique and very extraordinary kind of questions. First time I'm attending this kind of webinar. Actually, Hercules and Genia, I apologize because I'm too tired because of since August 6th, there are a series of webinar on the occasion of this International Indigenous Day. Yesterday night, 9 o'clock, All India Santhali Writers Association, they had organized program, and continuously I'm speaking and speaking, so not feeling very comfort. so little tired. So I don't know how much I can fulfill your agenda, and how I will satisfy all of you, I don't know, but I try my best. So in Kuruk language, I said that my name is Dr. Vasavi Kiro, and I belong to Uraon tribal community. And recently, right now, I'm living near Ara Mahilong, near Sarla Birla Public School. It's outer area of Ranchi town, 10 kilometers away from Ranchi town. And it's a tribal habitat, traditional tribal habitat. Uraon people, they are living here in Horha forest. It's a village forest. And my ancestor village is uh, Chatwal, based in Mandar block, under Mandar block. It comes under Mandar block. So, and my Uraon tribal community, to Uraon people, they speak Kuruk language. Kuruk and Uraon tribal people, they belong to Dravidian linguistic group. In Jharkhand, there are two tribal groups belong to Dravidian language group. Ura, Kuruk, and other is Paharia. They are living in Santhal Pargana. So Paharia and Uraon, they belong to Dravidian group. And their language and ours language are very similar. Some words are very similar, and but we don't have any interaction with them, Uraon and Paharia. So, in as per your questions, I gave my answers. And my profession, sorry, my profession is I'm a writer and a fighter. And very beginning, when Jharkhand statehood movement was going on, I was covering Jharkhand movement and all reports as a journalist. I was associated with Indian Express publication groups, Hindi publication Jansatta, and my whole education, I did my whole education in Hindi, Indian national language. And about 17 years I had been working as a journalist in Jharkhand, and I covered the Sibu Shoren movement, Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, and so many events, big rally, economic blockade, and mass rally in Morabadi, many things. So I wrote 3, 4 books on Jharkhand, on Mahua flower, and recently my book is coming. It is in press, Anugya Publication House based in Delhi, and it is on women participation in tribal revolts. It's a very unique work and extraordinary work done by me, and for this I moved around uh, India, different parts of tribal India, and I have collected so many stories where this tribal revolt had occurred. So, and my book is on displacement. So I have done intensive work on displacement because of development. In the name of development, tribal people, they got uprooted from their villages, their culture, their civilization, tradition, culture, custom, everything got collapsed. And it's a major and big issue related with tribal identity and related with their survival. So my book was published in 2017, and name of book is Concept of Displacement in India and History. So, and now I am writing, and other book is in pipeline. I think it's enough to understand.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the lovely introduction and for taking effort to translate it for the English audience. So, yeah, like we'll be talking more about your literary work of all the books you have published, and specifically the current book which you have for which you have traveled across India and collected really interesting stories, and which is going to get published. But before that, I would like to know about a bit about your community. As you said, you are from Uraon community, and like it's a Dravidian language family. So, can you tell us more about the community? How is the current situation of the community? What are they famous for, or anything that you're really proud of about your culture or the community?
Uh, sir, we'll have to speak in Kuruk or English.
No, English, ma'am. English is fine.
There are long history. If we want to know about the Kuruk community, Uraon community, they belong to Sindhu Ghati civilization, and there are differences among historians about Uraon community. Uraon, there are another word Kuruk, another word Kudkhar. So there are 3-4 languages. They call Kuruk, Kudkhar, and as per historian, an origin of Uraon tribal people is very different. Like Hatan, B.S. Guha, and Grizzly, they say very different kind of history about origin of Kuruk, Uraon tribal community. S.C. Roy is a very famous father of Indian anthropologist. He said that the tradition of the people point to the Deccan as the original home. So there are differences. Some historians, they say original of Uraon people is Deccan. Some people, they say it's Konkan. And as per these scholars like B.S. Guha and Hutton, they say that there are 3 types of tribal community in India: Negriti, Mangoli, and Bhumadhya Sagariya. So tribal people, Uraon tribal community, they belong to Dravidian group, and they some scholars, they say that they come under Proto-Australite group, this Bhumadhya Sagariya community. And this Dravidian group, they live in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, and Chota Nagpur. So basically, Uraon tribal people, they belong to Chota Nagpur as per anthropologists and some historians, some scholars like Hayden and Risley. This Hayden and Risley, they say that in Uraon tribal people, they come from Sindhu Ghati, Mohenjo-daro, and Harappa Sabhyata. And some scholars, they say that Uraon people, they belong to Baluchistan also, and their language is Brahui. And still some tribal people, Uraon people, they are living in Baluchistan. It says by Mikhail Tigga in his book Tigga Chal Khoja. Mikhail Tigga, he wrote a book named Tigga Chal Khoja. In that book, he said that some Uraon people, they are living in Baluchistan also. And during this historical events and this time period, S.C. Roy, he said that Uraon people, they come from Konkan to Gujarat, and Gujarat to Vindhya series of hill range, and Vindhyachal through Rohtasgarh through Ranchi. Rohtasgarh is still, it is in Bihar. Rohtasgarh means Ruidasgarh. It is in the name of Ruidas king. And now after time to time, name has been changed. Rohtasgarh, Ruidasgarh become Rohtas. Dravidian people, they are not Indian Dalits. Dravidian, they are different. There are no connection with Dravidian and Dalits. Mikhail Tigga, he said there are fight between Arya and Anarya. And Arya people, they always try to say that Uraon people and Munda people, they are part of their history. But it is not like that. It's not truth. Earlier in Chotanagpur, there were Asur Munda tribe people were there, and after that, Munda people they uh, settled this Uraon people. There are history, and near Ranchi, where my ancestor place is Mandar. When I go to Mandar, on the way, there is a place called Murma. It's a historical place where Uraon and Munda people they sit and they compromise, because Uraon people they come from Rohtasgarh and they cross Son Nadi, Son River, Bihar, and they come to Chota Nagpur. Earlier, in 2000 years back, 64 AD, you can say, as per history, Dr. B.P. Kesari, he wrote a book, Chota Nagpur, Kuch Sutra and Kuch Sandarbh, the name of that book. And he said, as per that book, that 2000 years back, there were Asur Munda tribal people were here residing. They were in Chota Nagpur. Later on, this Uraon people they came here. Then they had a very good meeting in Murma. Then Uraon king and Munda king they discussed a lot, and then they finally decide that Uraon they are their brothers. Then we will have to give some land to them, and then they asked Munda king. They asked to Uraon people that uh, over the night, however land you want to get fencing, you do that, and how much land you want to take, you take over that night, stayed by Munda king. So what Uraon people they did, they started digging. They started digging, and whole night they were digging, and uh, they surrounded a good place, this west side of Ranchi. Morning time, Munda king he saw that Uraon people they digged a lot, and they have covered a big area, and then Munda king they said ki, okay fine, you all people Uraon people you live here, we will proceed to Kuti. And after that, in each and every Uraon village, Munda king put a village head, Munda village head in Uraon villages, and settled all Uraons in different villages, and they moved towards Kuti. This is a truth history written by anthropologist Dr. S.C. Roy. He also said like that, and there are many books. We found this kind of history, and that is why if you go to Ranchi West area, you found Uraon villages. One village head is Munda, and it is it's a symbol that it was earlier under Munda king. It was Munda place, Munda region. It was. So this is a brief history about Uraon people. Uraon people they speak Kuruk, and they belong to Dravidian group. Tamil also comes under this Dravidian language group, and so many language words are very similar with Kuruk and Tamil. So Tamil professors they come here in Ranchi and in regional tribal language department, and they organize Tamil classes to learn about to search how many words are there in Tamil, like similar with Kuruk. So time to time they organize this kind of seminar. So it's a brief history about Brown community, and there are debates. Some people they say something, some scholar they say something. I think it's enough. And your question is it a linguistically endangered community? No, not at all. It's not a linguistically not an endangered community. It's a main tribal community, and it's a good population. As per 2011 census report, I did some work for you. There are Uraon in number 6. There are 31 lakhs 42,145 Uraon populations in India. First population is Bhil community, they are number one. They have a very good number. 1 crore 2689952. Second number, Gond people, they come in second number, second largest population of tribal community. Third is Santhal. Fourth is Meena. And then fifth is another one. And sixth is Uraon. Munda is number 8. Munda is 9 lakhs, 19 lakhs, 18,218. So we are in good number. That is why Kuduk people, Uraon people, we are fighting to include our language in 8th schedule in Indian constitution, within Indian constitution.
Yeah, uh, I mean, you very rightly said that we'll find one Munda person in every Urao village, and in fact, I didn't knew this until now. But it's really interesting to know that how two different communities who totally are from different language group, as Urao is from Dravidian language group and Munda is from Austroasiatic group. These two communities came together, uh, had a negotiation and had a very good peace deal, and they now we can see that both these communities live together in synergy in the same area. uh, in fact, adding on to what you mentioned about Rohingyas, there's also a very famous story about how the women very bravely fought uh, the war. So can you kindly elaborate on that also, or would you like to take that later in the discussion?
Yeah, thank you so much for your attention, Hercules. Rightly, you said rightly that women participation in this Ruvidasgarh, they fought against Mughal period, and about 1200. This history correlate with 1200. We are not getting much, but there are some sources are there. And as I told that in my book, Women Participation in Tribal Revolt, I have covered that part, and it's a good. I have collected so many facts and through subaltern studies. There are Signi Dai and Kali Dai, both were captain, and they fought against Mughal Empire. Because this Mughal Empire, they want to grab this Ruidas fort, Rohidas Gadka Kila, Rohidas Fort, they want to grab it. And when this Sarhul festival was celebrating, that time male Urao people, they drink a local drink called Hadia, and they were relaxed. That time, this Mughal people, uh, they attacked on that Rohidas fort, and these women they wear this male dress. They they left their sari and traditional dress, and they wear this what do you say, dhoti and kurta, the male dress. They wear and they fought against this Mughal Empire, and 3 times they defeated this Mughal Empire, and because of this defeat 3 times, because they defeated 3 times, uh, to remember this victory, 3 times victory, they put their symbol in their head. It called Godna in our language. Godna, 3 stick symbol in their head, and it reflects their history, their very brave history. They want, and in the name of that history, still they celebrate Jani Shikar. Still after 12 years, every 12 years, Urao women they celebrate Jani Shikar.
Yeah, I've witnessed one of such event. Like So for the audience, Jani Sikar is a festival which is celebrated every 12 years, and all the women of the community, they take out their fighting matlab, hunting equipments, and they go to celebrate hunting, and they like basically repeat the history. They try to show their how powerful they were, and they also reflect uh, the fight which they fought. It's a way to remember the history of the community. And
Perfect.
yes, again,
Perfect.
yes,
Perfect.
tattoos are very much symbolic. In fact, the three I've seen a lot of Uraon community women or even males having those three lines on their forehead or even in their hands, and that reflects the history. It's very symbolic in nature. Uh, so, moving ahead, uh, are there different names of your community or language and that goes by the same name? Like as you mentioned, Oraos are also called Kuduk, and in different places they are called different names. So basically, I want to ask you about the diversity of the Adivasi community and practices that are there in your locality, and maybe then you can tell about the language diversity or the cultural diversity, or even in terms of traditional practices.
Yeah, very good question. Yes, Uraon people, Uraon is a word because as I told you that history, when Munda people were living here in Chotanagpur 2000 years back and cross this from Rohtasgarh and then Son Nadi, this Uraon tribal people, they came to Chotanagpur. In that time, they they surrounded their villages, and Munda people, they say Uraon people that these people are Urang Utang. Urang Utang. Urang means digging whole night and now become early in the morning. So whole night they will digging and it become morning. So they say Urang and Utang. Utang means forest. So they are jungly people, they are Urang Utang. So earlier in record of Britishers and anthropological documents and these church people, some padri, some priest, they wrote about Urang people. They also mention this Urang Utang word. And as I told you that Uraon people, they called Kuduk and Kudkar also. And I am women, so they say, Neen Kudukni Radi, Tum Kudukni ho. Neen, Tum Kudukni ho. You are Kudukni, matlab Tum Kudukni ho. Like that they say. So it's a different word. But in town area, we educated Urao people always we say ourselves ki Urao. Normally they don't say Kuduk, but these language professors and in rural area, tribal Urao people, they say themselves Kuduk. They love to say Kuduk. They don't want to say Urao. So because it's an identity question, it's a, and it is very much connected with Dravidian. Source goes to Dravidian, definitely. So it's I think I replied your question. Different names of my community and language. So, but your question, next question is very vast, Hercules. This is an opening to talk about diversity of Adivasi community or practices. If you want, you could touch on language, literature, economic opportunity, or anything else you want to cover. See, Urao tribal people normally they love to cultivate and they love to go to forest. They collect forest produces. They love to cultivate paddy. Their main crop is rice and fish. There are varieties of fishes. They go to village, they go to river, they go to forest, they go to uh, different remote areas. Small rivers are there. They go and they catch fish. So main food is rice, and fish. And there are edible leaves. There are many edible leaves. They love to collect leaves, different kinds of leaves like cassia tora. Cassia tora means chakod. Chakod is a Hindi word, and Kuduk word. They still in Kuduk language it called chapoda. And other katai edible leaves also there. There are Beng sag, Centinela asiatica, it's a botanical name. They said Beng sag, Beng sag. It's a Kuruk word, and Hindi also people say Beng sag, and in Sanskrit it's a Mandu Parni. And other this lal bhaji, red bhaji leaves. There are guma leaves are there. So there are, I think, more than 100 edible leaves are there, and some are going to be instinct, but many edible leaves are available, and they eat. So there are cultural diversity and economic activity basically based on forest and agriculture. So still, you can say that 90% Urao people, they based on agriculture and forest. They collect forest produces, they sell out, and they survive. Uh, they now this paddy season is going on. This planting of rice plant, I think it's over, and they are waiting when it will be cut down. So economically, they are not much strong, and in tribal community, this Uraon community particularly, education level is very low. As per Ministry of Tribal Affairs, I found some figure, and it says that level of education among the major tribal groups. Uraon is a major tribal groups, and they live in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Madhya Pradesh, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, and Uttar Pradesh also. So, but their literacy rate is very low, 2% poor, you can say. About 26.9% Urao people are literate. Primary level, they are 25.3%. Middle level, they are 18.5%. So the and technically in technical education, it's very less, 0.2. Above graduation, they are 5.9%. So, and other tribal community also very less education. As a whole, if you want to, as a whole, uh, as per 2011 census report, if you want to talk about literacy among tribal community as a whole in totality, as per 2011, total literacy rate among tribal community across tribal India is 58.96. Male percentage is 60.53 and female 49.53. You see, still we did not cover 50% literacy rate among women, tribal women. So women are far ahead, far away. Literacy means literature, literate. You have only later knowledge. You don't have education, much higher education. So very poor situation in India. Uh, uh, if we talk about tribal people, so there are cultural diversity among tribal people in India. There are 705 scheduled tribe in India as per listed President of India. Mm, they have President of India have listed 705, 705 scheduled tribe as a scheduled tribe as an Adivasi. But there are more than tribal people in India. Some scholars and some my experts people, they said that about 1100 tribal people are in India in varieties of ethnic groups are there, but they are all still awaiting to get enlisted in scheduled tribe list. So in Northeast India, in South and in eastern part of India, where these tribal people, they are living in different territory. Tribal people, these Uraw people they are living in this central part and eastern India. MP and Chhattisgarh and this Jharkhand, mainly they are residing here. In Jharkhand, you can say ki only 5 districts, you can get only 5 districts where tribal people are more than 50%. And 8 districts are there in Jharkhand where tribal people are less than 25% to 50%. So they are gradually getting instinct uh, because of not census, proper census, you can say. They are migrating, displacement, trafficking, so many issues are there. When Government of India, they organize this census activity, tribal people, they go out from their villages. Mostly they were not there, as per so many reports that tribal people, they leave their villages, and that time these census officers, they go to village and they collect data. So this is a very big problem. And as per languages, if you talk about tribal languages, there are 90 tribal languages in India. We are working on tribal languages on behalf of All India Tribal Literary Forum. It was formed in 2002. Dr. Ramdayal Munda was our president. Now Hariram Meena, he based in Rajasthan, he is our member, and Vahru Sonwane, he is a very famous Bhil writer. He based in Maharashtra. He is vice president of All India Tribal Literary Forum, and I am general secretary of this forum. And since 2002, we are working on indigenous language to promote and protect tribal languages, to collect tribal indigenous folk tales, novels, some phrases, and we are trying to get into translating various languages like Mizo language. Professor LT Liana Khiangte. Professor LT Liana Khiangte is in Mizoram. He is the head of the Department of Mizo language, and he got Padam Shri for his work. He has done extraordinary work on Mizo language, and he is part of All India Tribal Literary Forum. And we want to get into translation from Mizo to Kuduk, Mizo to Santhal, Mizo to Mundari, so that we can interact each our tribal community. So there are no interaction within indigenous community in India. And that is why we scared now. We don't want to go Bodo area, we don't want to go Naga area, because they are different, we are different. And there there are no opportunity, and there are no any planning to make interaction between these indigenous community among themselves. So it's a diverse issue. Tribal question and tribal agenda in India is a diverse issue. There are multiple questions and multiple issues are there. Northeast India, they have different issues. They are guided from sixth schedule. We are guided from fifth schedule within Indian Constitution. So our this administration system, self-rule system is different as per fifth schedule. And in Northeast there are six schedules, so they get more autonomy. We are not. In fifth schedule area, we are not getting more autonomy, but they have good opportunity to avail their facility and access government scheme, and to communicate their literature, culture, their custom to the government. And in Bodoland, all work has been done, all works are going on in Bodo language. But in our state, no language, no. There are Uraon, Mundari, Santhali, Ho, Kharia, Kuruk, but no state language. They announced, government has already announced that all these are state language. But state language, they just announced no work on these languages, no official work. All officers' work are going on in English language. As I told you that Kuruk, in Kuruk, we are not working. So it's very difficult sometimes to communicate our things to other people. So in India, still uh, we are struggling to get our rights and our promote our language and culture and economic activity. We want development, no doubt, but we want development on our condition, on our perspective. We have tribal people have very different perspective. Our approaches are very different. Just you come and you want to establish power plant and just to remove all villages. This is happening. This is a concept, and this kind of paradigm, development paradigm, is going on since 1947. 70 years has been passed, and tribal people is still they are asking. Recently, we have celebrated this yesterday in the International Indigenous Day. But what about UNDRIP, UNDRIP, announced by United Nations on 13 September 2007, United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. As per this declaration, there are 46 points. It covers language, culture, literacy, economic activity, land, forest, territory, everything. As per section Article 10 and 11, you can't take land from tribal. You can't take tribal land. And if you want to take tribal land in the name of development, you will have to ask them, you will have to take consent. So that is a principle, free, prior, and informed consent, FPIC. Uh, this is formulated by United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues. So, but it's not happening in India. There are so many laws uh, for tribals, but it's not being implemented properly. Language in Jharkhand, there are no language academy. We are asking to establish tribal language literature academy in India. There are 90 languages. People are writing in their languages. They are writing poem, story, tales, so many things, novels in their languages, but no promotion, no protection, no preservation. So our demand is to formulate national tribal policy, and as per national tribal policy, Government of India should establish this National Tribal Language and Literature Academy. So we are fighting for that. And Maharashtra people, they are going ahead. They have established their own Adivasi Sahitya Academy. This Sunil Gaikwad, I was with them on their webinar, Rashtriya Kavi Sammelan, National Poet Conference they had organized on 7th. And there were 61 poets, Bhil, Bhilori poets and poetess were there in that seminar. See, there are more than 1,000 writers in India. They are writing in their languages, but where is promotion? No promotion. This Ministry of Tribal Affairs, what they are doing? Nothing. Just gotri and piggery. They are talking about the tribal people, they should gotri and piggery for their economic activity. They want to confine them in a gotri, in a piggery. They don't want to come out. Na? They don't want the tribal people should come out from these kind of barriers. And culture, see, there are variety of cultures and oral traditions and cultures are there in different communities, all tribal communities. There are varieties of culture and customs. Dr. Ramdayal Munda, he was chairperson of working committee in planning commission in 2007, and he had prepared a very good report for 5 years plan for tribal people, scheduled tribe in India. And as per that report, he said that the codification work should be organized or should be conducted by Government of India, so that tribal people, they can collect and they can document their oral tradition and custom. But it's not happening. It's not happening. So very peculiar kind of thing. I think situation of tribal identity and culture and language and literacy and economic activities are not good. We are far behind. They are saying sustainable development goal. They are talking about sustainable development goal, and they are saying no one left behind. No one left behind. So no one left behind. All people are left behind. We are in this political map of India, if you found tribal states, they are behind. Because in tribal area there are malnutrition, in tribal area there are anemia, in tribal area there are malaria. So we are behind, and other parts of India, they are quite developed, and tribal India underdeveloped still, and that is why India is not getting progress in terms of human index or whatever they are deciding their indicators. There are so many indicators. So they are saying no one left behind. I think it's very difficult to say uh, to whom they are saying, for what they are saying, no one left behind. So I think it covers my.
Uh, yeah, ma'am. Like you very rightly said that there are more than 700 tribal communities or indigenous community. In fact, uh, if we look at the very first survey of India, we'll find that there were around 1,300 indigenous or tribal communities in India with more than 700 languages which were there. However, those are getting endangered and are getting extinct with more with time. Uh, and as you rightly said that uh, there have like um, how different tribal communities are like they are same at one time, but because they are not connected, and the work that you did with the Mizo language, like the translation, to get everyone connected, it's very important at this modern time, that all the tribal communities, they stop seeing themselves as individual and they come together united and bring about a change. In fact, I've been very privileged to work with you on the library project that we did, and uh, for the audience, I that was the first time I met Dr. Vasavi Kiro, and we collaborated on a library project where the idea was to build a library, and which has all the tribal literature from more than, I guess, 60 or 70 different languages, and
Yes,
more than 16 like Indian states. Uh, and in fact, that's when I got to know about All India Tribal Literary Forum, which, as ma'am said, was formed during 2002 and has been doing marvelous work in curating and promoting indigenous writers, promoting their literature and getting it recognized on a state and a national platform. Uh, Talking a little bit about my organization, which is Trilingo. Uh, Trilingo basically means tribal lingos. It's a amalgamation of two words, tribal and lingos. And Trilingo basically works on education, research, and technology. As a part of education, we are trying to translate the modern education or the knowledge which exists into native language, because a lot of the times the students they speak their native language at home, and then when they go to attend schools or any other institution, they have to shift to any other language. And so what we are trying to do is to make education more inclusive for indigenous communities. Talking about technology, the current IT infrastructure is very it's not fully developed, and in fact, if like technology giants like Google or Microsoft or Facebook uh, have only 8 of the 22 constitutionally recognized Indian languages. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to integrate language into the IT infrastructure that exists. And at last, talking about the research, there have been a lot of work that has been done and is yet to be done on the indigenous communities. Uh, so what we are trying to do is we are trying to rewrite our history and reclaim our history by promoting indigenous writers and indigenous researchers, so that like they are the one who actually writes their own history and about their community. Yeah. All that being said, uh, the first moment that came, that's when I realized that I want to work on indigenous languages and community was, uh, it was back in 2018. I'm a IT engineer by training, and I had 3 years of work experience working in the national capital. During one of my travel back to home, I realized that my cousins are not able to speak in uh, Hindi, let alone our native language, which is Mundari, and that triggered a sense of alarm in myself that languages are dying, and leave indigenous language or Adivasi language, even Hindi, which is a very like national wide spoken language, are are getting like it's getting uh, reduced, or the number of students are very less, like because the whole education system is moving toward English, and that's how like the younger generation are forgetting their language and hence their culture and tradition. And uh, that one moment in time uh, triggered series of events, and that led me to forming Trilingo. So my next question is based on a similar note, that ma'am, what was that moment for you in your life? Like, what was that moment that triggered you to work for language and literature? And I know there, like, from my personal experience, it's just not like one single event, it's series of event. But if you can talk about some of the event that really made you think about the literature and culture and indigenous identity, and then you decided to work on it with full dedication and working on it on a full time basis.
Yeah, thank you so much for your question, Hercules. See, in my family members, my mother, my mother's sisters, and other relatives, they always come and they talk in Kuruk language. And that time, I was studying in a local convent, Ursuline convent, is a mission school, and there it is a it is a Hindi medium school. And that time when I listen them and I am reading Hindi and English, then I talk to my mother and my family members, why these people they are talking very differently. So they said, no, we are Uraon and we have to learn this Kuruk language. So, but in school we are not learning, we are not getting education in this language. So how to learn it? So no, you will have to learn at your home. We will teach you. So my mother's sisters, they were saying like that, and this sound, this kuruk sound was in my ear and in my mind. So that is why I taught this language. And very beginning, I was thinking how to promote this language and literature. When I was journalist and I was started work and writing, that time I saw Dr. Ramdal Munda, Dr. B.P. Kesri, and other other professors working on language. Dr. Santi Khalko, Dr. Damayanti Singh, these people, they are working, they are talking in their languages. And Dr. Ramdayal Munda, he was in America for 17 years, and he was teaching their linguistic language. He was professor of linguistics. And when he come back Jharkhand and started this Jharkhand statehood movement. And that time I was covering this newspaper movement, this separatist statehood movement. Then we had a very good interaction with Dr. Ramdayal Munda. He said, Ki, no, without language we can't survive. We don't have any identity without language. So you are Vasavi Kiro. So you are Vasvi and you are Kiro. How people they know who is Vasvi and who is Kiro if you don't speak your language? Like that, I am Ram Dayal Munda. So I am Ram and Dayal, but I am Munda. How people came to know that I am Munda if I will not speak Mundari? So Mundari and language. is a base of culture and identity. He says always, Ramdayal Munda. So then we have this, and Ramdayal Munda had started this tribal regional language department in under Ranchi University. There are many people, but Dr. Ramdayal Munda, he was one of them, and his contribution uh, uh, is a great contribution to establish, and that department later on supported this separate statehood movement. So language, so basic agenda of the separate statehood movement was language and identity also that time, and gradually this state formation and everything has happened. Then Dr. Ramdayal Munda and me keeping talking, so what to do ahead in reconstruction of Jharkhand. So reconstruction of Jharkhand, now we got Jharkhand in 2015 November 2000. What next? Then Ramdayal Munda, he said me, you do PhD first, and we need this degree very importantly, and we plan to work on indigenous language. Then we had a discussion. We searched a lot, so many writers here in Jharkhand first, and then gradually in other state we searched a lot other indigenous writers writing in other languages, their languages. Bhil and Kok Borok, Mijo, Bodo, uh, Karbi. So then we searched a lot, and then we sit together in Delhi. That time in Delhi, there were a lady, she was alive, and he was MLA from Hazaribagh in Jharkhand. There is a assembly constituency, Mandu, under Hazaribagh district. So that lady, she gave their place, and we sit there, and then he started work, this All India Tribal Literary Forum. And Mahashweta Devi, she also wrote a lot on tribal issues. So Mahashweta, we had organized a very beautiful program in 2nd June 2002 in Sahitya Academy, Government of India. Mahasweta Devi and so many big writers, Hindi writers, English writers, and Marathi writers, so many other people, other scholars of other literature, they were there. And it was really historic moment for me, and we started our work. And as a of language activist, I was general secretary, and Waharu Sonmane, he was vice president, still he is vice president, and we started our work. So really it was a historic moment for us. And Sahitya Akademi, uh, after 2002, Sahitya Akademi came to know that there are tribal writers, there are tribal literatures, and there are so many tribal books and folk tales, poem and novels are there and written by tribal people. Then gradually Sahitya Akademi, they started work on tribal languages. And in the meantime, in 2003 December, government of this Indian Parliament, they have passed a law that Santali is a Indian language, and they included under 8th schedule of Indian Constitution. It's a major achievement for tribal people and for Santali people also, as well as tribal people also. So there were celebration, and first time in India that tribal Santali language included in Indian Constitution under 8th schedule. And after that, the Sahitya Akademi and All India Tribal Literary Forum, simultaneously, regularly we organize many programs in different zone of India. South zone, northeast in Guwahati, south zone in Hampi University, Karnataka, and eastern India in Jharkhand. So there were so many events we had organized in Jharkhand. A national event was organized in 2005, sponsored by Sahitya Akademi and All India Tribal Literary Forum in 2005. And about more than 60 tribal writers were there of 60 tribal languages. They were there from Ranchi also, across tribal India. They came here and it was 3 days conference. and we have collected all these literature, and we have published this document, whatever discussed in 3 days seminar in 2005 in Ranchi, in a national seminar. So that was milestone work, and now that because of this work, this background, we are planning to go ahead now. So it's a very historical moment for me.
That was really impactful. I mean, uh, uh, it's very inspiring to learn that how Dr. Ramdayal Munda told you, and that we need to reclaim our identity, and we should be known by the work that we do, and by our culture background. And I think that this is a very important lesson for everyone, every indigenous person, or even a person in general, that we should we should do something and be known for that work, which has a significant in the society, and significance for the culture. uh, Anyway, moving ahead. As you, now that we know that how you were inspired to write, and how you took up journalism, uh, can you kindly tell about uh, few of the work that you have done? Because I know you have done a lot. You have been a journalist for more than a decade, and you have couple of books published and few more in line. So, can you describe your experience, the different kind of experience that you had while working on language, culture, identity, promoting the literature, and also at the end, maybe you can talk a little bit about your upcoming book, which is based on the freedom fighters, women freedom, female freedom fighters from the indigenous community, and give the audience a sneak idea about what the book is all about, so that uh, they can get a glimpse of it. And then when the book is out in the market, they would, I'm sure, a lot of people will be going and buying it.
Yeah, thank you so much. See, it's a little terrible background, Hercules. My personal experience and my family background, it was not good because my father died in my childhood, and my younger brother and my mother is completely illiterate. She wants that we all brother and sisters should get education and nothing else, not more than that. So she cooked food and she gave, and we were going to school. Uh, Gradually, when I completed my matriculation, after that my family member, they want that I should get married. Then, but I oppose this. Three brothers, they are elder from me, and they wanted that I should get married because after third, three brothers, I am fourth, but I am elder sister, and after that two more brother were there. Now they are no more. So among five, I was alone sister. So they want to get married, but I oppose. No, I want to do graduation first. After that, I will see what we'll do. And when I was completed this matriculation, nearby my neighbor family, one lady, she is a non-tribal lady. Sudha Sinha. Her name is Sudha Sinha. She was coming and she was publishing a local news magazine. It called New Message. Now it is closed. So it was New Message. Name is English, but it was publishing in Hindi. So she said me, ki, why don't you write in my magazine? Then I said, I have to write matriculation. Then I will start writing. After completion of my matriculation exam, I started writing in New Message. And that time in Ranchi, there were so many incident had occurred against tribal women. Three young tribal women, they gang raped in Katatoli Chowk. And this military person, police people, I think they did this rape incident. So there were hue and cry and procession and protest meeting and big rallies were organized. So I covered all these issues, and gradually this I associated myself with separate statehood movement. But my education was not completed, so I was quite young, and it was very difficult to understand each and everything. So I was trying to learn. Senior journalists were there, all were non-tribals, and some of them were very good. They tell me some information. You go there, you do this, you do this, like that. Dr. VP Sharan, he was pro vice chancellor in Ranchi University, and one another journalist, Faisal Anurag. They helped a lot me to and guide me to, you go there, you cover this and this. So that time there are separate statehood movement was great agenda. Wherever rally and economic blockade and any mass meeting were organized by Sibu Soren, Salinder Mehto, Vinod Bihari Mehto, and A.K. Rai, and Krishna Madi, and other leaders. So I go there and I listen their speeches, and I write about it. Then gradually, because Ramdal Munda ji, he came from USA, so he had very good perspective how to develop Jharkhand and reconstruction of Jharkhand. So very beginning, during separate statehood movement, he was keeping talking about language and literature. So he asked me, Ki, you write on language and literature. That time, there were hue and cry. Still, it's going on in the name of script. Script is a very big agenda and controversial issue. So that time in Jansatta, I wrote about script. Why all different indigenous community, tribal community, they want their own script. They don't want to write in Hindi, Devanagari Lipi. They don't want to write in English. And those are writing in English and those are writing in Devanagari Lipi. They are saying no, they are not tribal literature. It's not a tribal literature. If tribal people write in their own mother language, then we will consider it as tribal literature and tribal documents. And so it was a great debate. So I wrote about script. There were 9 kinds of script. Warang Chiti Lipi, this Tolong Siki Lipi, this Kami Sampodo, and Raghunath Murmu, Old Chiki Lipi already it was introduced. And uh, among Santhal people, there were no debate and no controversy on all Chikilipi. And that is why they are now getting progress, and so many schools and institutions has opened and they are teaching them in all Chikilipi. So they are far ahead. They are going ahead. Their culture and literature are quite rich. And we Uraon people, Ho people, these Munda people, still we are fighting in the name of script. So I wrote about this script. No, we suggested that we should write in Hindi, Devanagari Lipi, and Roman Lipi also, because writer they can express themselves in Hindi, and they can express in English also. But some orthodox people, community leader, they are saying no, if he will write in Mundari, then only we will consider it as a tribal literature. So this kind of issue is still it's existing. So we are trying to resolve it, but it's very difficult because there are so many opinions within community, among Mundas, among Kuruk, among Ho, among Kharia. They are very difficult. So I wrote about it, and I wrote about this land and forest, culture, tradition, spirituality, economic and social activity, all are related with land and forest. So I wrote a lot about it, and about the development induced displacement, because paradigm of development always induced displacement, and tribal people, they got uprooted, and uh, they got displaced, and they are losing their language, their culture. They are not singing, they are not dancing. So it's a tragedy and kind of uh, kind of what do you say, a, a whole culture, a whole civilization getting collapsed. So in HEC area where we are fighting still, two cases on me still, because in heavy engineering corporation HEC area, Nagri police station, he has filed one case in Netarhat firing range area, Netarhat police station another case, because we are fighting to save land. So land, and because I am writing and fighting both, so in all fronts we are facing problems. So I'm looking, because we are very difficult to combat all these things and to resolve, because government and IS officers, other government departments, they don't want to understand why tribal people, they are fighting to save their land, because land gives life, because land is life, land is livelihood, forest is life, forest, without forest, without land, we can't live. Like a fish cannot live without water. So all these issues I write a lot in Jansatta, in local Prabhat Khabar also. I wrote a lot about, and uh, uh, previous editor was a little pro-tribal, and he considered that there should be some tribal journalists. Then we organized so many workshops on writing, and tribal boys and girls, we motivated a lot that you should write and should become journalist in local newspapers, so that tribal should write in their perspective, on their on their own, on their point of view, they should write. So unless and until tribal people, they, if they don't become journalists, writer, they can't write. Even you go through all tribal history written by non-tribals. You say me, all tribal history, tribal revolt, all by written by non-tribal people. Still, tribal people, they are not writing their history. So all these things I had covered when I had been writing for Jansatta and Prabhat covered.
Yes, ma'am. I've seen your work, and I think all the awards that you have got are a testimonial to your hard work and your dedication towards the topic. In fact, it's really interesting to realize that how literature can become a means of resilience and a means to reclaim our the identity. Uh, on that note, we'll end this discussion, and I'll move to the next segment of this discussion, which is question and answer. So there's a question. I'll read out the question. What is the implication of 2020 NEP, which is National Education uh, Policy for equality and inclusion of tribal groups, specifically in relation to language policy and teaching in mother tongue? Some people say it will just perpetuate inequality, others say that it is a good thing. So, should I take this question about national education policy?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Uh, um, so, um, like uh, talking about national education policy, it suggests that there should be it emphasizes on mother tongue based teaching. Uh, but I'd like to reiterate that mother tongue based education has already been in our education system, and it has been suggested since ages. So it was just re-mentioning about the idea, nothing else. Coming to the next part, which is in terms of language policy and teaching, some people say that it will just perpetuate inequality. Uh, I don't think so. I mean, there are two coins, two sides of every coin. There are good side and there are bad side. Uh, so one of the side is if the policy is implemented on ground level and it is successful, then lot of tribal languages and hence culture will be identified, and people will be able to claim their identity in academic domain. What I mean is, if mother tongue is used to teach, then students from tribal communities will feel proud and they will have a sense of dignified identity toward their own culture. Talking about the other side, uh, yeah, there can be some implications to it, because it's, as I said, mother tongue education has been suggested more than a decade. It's people have always suggested, and research shows that if we teach children in their mother tongue, the outcomes of their learning is really good. But it's due to the current governance system, uh, the policies are not implemented well, and I must say that government schools as an institution have failed very drastically to implement mother tongue based learning. There's also another way to look at it is, why only teach mother tongue based education in government schools? Why not in private schools? Uh, if we teach in private schools, a lot of like tribal teachers will be employed, and that will give a means of economic progress. But that's not happening, because there's also a angle which is how economically viable is mother tongue based education. So we need to look at things from multiple point of view, and be very very critical. So from one point of view, yes, NEP is very much uh, inclusive, and it's a good step by government. On the other side, it can really be it can if it's not implemented well, it's just another policy, which, as ma'am said, that we show it on paper but it's not on the grounds. Yeah. Anything you want to add on that note, ma'am?
See, it's very important, Hercules, to talk about national education policy. Uh, we need to analyze and review this in terms of tribal education. Uh, you see, in Indian Constitution, there are provisions in Article 350A to provide education in mother tongue. It says this Article 350. And after independence, what has happened? You can see this. All mother tongues, tribal, non-tribal, all mother tongues going to be extinct. And still in tribal, in Indian villages, in any part of Indian villages, you go, all tribal or non-tribal people, they speak in their languages. So one NCRT officers, he was telling that in India, what is happening that 5% people, they speak English, they are working in English, and not good English even, but they are as per situation they are talking writing in English, and 95% people population in India, they are talking in their language, they are living in their languages, they are running their culture, custom, traditions in their languages. And NCRT, what they are doing, they are developing this syllabus in Hindi, in English, and so that officer, he was telling ki that is why in India people are very backward and they are very less educated, because education is not providing in mother tongue in their language. So in this perspective, this national education policy, maybe in some extent it provides education in mother tongue, and you rightly said that it provide means to for livelihood, and open this way to go ahead to new periphery of progress. It will open maybe. See, in Jharkhand, in Ranchi, this regional and tribal languages department now open in Averis University, now open in Syama Prasad Mukherjee University, in Sant Binoma Bhave University, in Dumka Sindhu Kano University also. What happened? So many students, those had completed their PhD or MPhil in their languages, they got education, they become assistant professor, they are teaching there. And uh, graduation, those were completed graduation in their mother languages, Puruk, Mundari, Ho, Santhali. They are now teaching in different schools. So it creates big job. It will create, and of course, this national education policy, if we got success to provide education in mother tongue, then no doubt so many, I think lakhs of people in tribal India, they will get a job opportunity and academic work will be go ahead. I think new aspects will open to go ahead, research, study, and various work on tribal literature and language. So many writers will come up. So many writers now. A young lady, she contacted me a day before yesterday. Her name is Gunjan Kindo, and she wrote a poem in English. And her book has published recently, The Breaking Waves. She told me that by my book name is Breaking Waves. So this kind of happenings, this kind of new event, new books, new writings will come up if you give all these kind of opportunity. Because see, tribal children, they will not express until and unless you will not provide education in mother tongue. In Paharia is a PVTG group, particular vulnerable tribal group. Paharia children, they are not getting education in English and in Hindi. Uh, if they come up to class 5, then only they get education in Hindi and English. So it's very difficult to teach them in other foreign language. Hindi is foreign language for them. English is foreign language for them. In tribal India, you go and visit very terrible situation. No tribal people, they understand Hindi even. So who will speak, who will learn English and speak English? We need to learn, we need to understand all these. And unfortunately, these government department, IS officer, politician, MP, MLAs, they don't want to understand this. The tribal India is unseen India. They don't know even Hindi. In Ho area, in Santhal area, in Munda area, in Kharia area, tribal people they speak Sadri or their mother language. So tribal India is still unseen India. We need to understand this tribal India. And maybe new education policy will provide this opportunity. It's good, no issue. And you spoke so many things on it. So I think so many good points you had covered on it.
Yeah, ma'am.
And I want to share one more thing, Hercules. It's important to share you and belongs Genius and Gupta. My experience related with my journalism. See, I want to become MBBS doctor, but my father was died and economic problem were there. And then I planned to become professor. So I could not because 16 years in undivided Bihar, there were no examination conducted to select lectures. In 1995, it was examination, and I had appeared in that examination. After that, I saw so many MP, MLAs, their son, their daughter-in-law, their wives, they selected. So opportunity was blocked for me. Then my option was open in newspaper, so I continue to writing in my newspaper. But what happened when I completed my 12 years writing in Jansatta as a correspondent based in Ranchi? When I go to Delhi to meet my editor, Prabhas Joshi is a very famous Hindi editor in India. And first, when I go to and I got an appointment to meet him. When I entered and I met very happily because first time I went to Delhi and meet my chief editor. So he first question he asked me, you can't believe, he asked me which caste you belong to. So I got surprised which caste I belong to. I told I belong to Uraon tribal community. I am a tribal. And after that, he said, okay, fine, you go. He did not talk me even. And I left that place and come back. And he did not confirm me. I was in trial and I was in extinguishing. Then they make me correspondent. They made me correspondent. And after that, I had to confirm them. Then I became senior correspondent. But they did not confirm me. So whole my career, my dream time of my life, so it got spoiled. But I left this newspaper in 2004, and then I started a fellowship. I got MacArthur fellowship, and Center for Science and Environment Fellowship and other fellowships. So many fellowships I got, and then I do my research and study, and I continue in my field writing and this social activism. So that part was very uh, painful part, you can say, very painful part of my life. So I forgot to tell this part of. So
That this is very important part of your story, and I'm really happy that you brought it out to uh, the audience. And no doubt, I mean, even though you didn't got to that senior position, but in hindsight, it's you have achieved much more success than you would have achieved as a senior correspondent. So as they say, whatever happens for good. uh, uh, yeah. And coming back to the initial conversation, like someone followed up and they said that the criticism is a mother tongue. If you put mother tongue and children will, there will be more pressure because like at the end these students will have to communicate using Hindi and English. So I like to point out that language is not limited to only education. I mean, as Bam was saying, when we learn language, then we also develop economy around it. Students become teacher. The like engineers become they work on the language and culture. Even we have lately we have seen rise in native language entertainment content. Like when you search on YouTube and you try to find tribal music, you'll find a lot of tribal music that are there, and people have become full-time YouTuber using like who are just focused on promoting their language and their culture. So the point I'm trying to say is uh, language has lot of benefits, and language doesn't has a limitation that we learn a language and you can only use it for in education, and when we go out or like when we finish our education we have to go back to Hindi and English. I think the question here is, can we change the whole economic system or infrastructure into more like native language? And that's where, as we have been doing, like ma'am has been doing, by translating the books to native language, like more tribal languages, so that we can bring the knowledge which until now exists in Hindi or English to more native, like Adivasi language or tribal language. And yeah, we need to understand that language doesn't has a limitation only in academics, but there is a lot of possibility that is there in terms of economic opportunities, in terms of technology development, in terms of art and literature. Uh, okay. On that note, uh, yeah, once again, I like to thank ma'am for taking out your precious time, and it's been really amazing. Uh, I'm personally, I'm very motivated to hear your story, the parts which I didn't knew, and uh, it has certainly inspired me a lot. So I quickly have couple of questions from my side. These are very rapid questions that I want to ask, and I think it's like although the time is up, but it's I think it's important, and that's why I'll quickly take these questions. So I call it 13 reasons why, uh, and I asked 13 rapid question, but we'll keep it very short. So my first question is, if not a journalist or writer, then what?
if uh, who is a journalist or right? It's not
If
clear,
you
Hercules.
if you would not be journalist or writer, then what you would be? Like if you're not working as a journalist or writer, so what would you have become an in profession?
Okay, see, if my economic conditions was good, my father was alive, then maybe I could have doctor, na MBBS. I want to be that time. And now now in this situation when no opportunity for journalism and writer, Then social activism is a very good way, and I have a roadmap which we had developed with Dr. Ramdayal Munda for tribal India, how to go ahead, or how to take it forward to develop tribal area, tribal India. So I have an agenda for tribal India. So I am working on it, and we are going to establish a National Institute of Ethnobotanists, because we are working on ethnomedicine, ethnobotany. And with Dr. Ramdayal Munda, we had established an NGO. It called Todang. Todang means forest in our language, in Puruk language. And we are working on medicinal plants, tribal health, tribal language, and so many, and tribal women empowerment, child rights, many issues. So next year, maybe in Jharkhand, we will establish this National Institute of Ethnomedicine, and we are trying to take it forward, this All India Tribal Literary Forum also, because next year UNESCO has announced Indigenous Decade, International Decade of Indigenous Language to 2022 to 2032, 10 years. So we are making planning with All India Tribal Literary Forum and All India Santhali Writers Association how to celebrate this. UNESCO and announced this decade, tribal language decade, how to celebrate it. So hopefully we will meet this Chief Minister and Minister of Tribal Affairs Arjun Munda next week after in 15 August, this Independence Day, and we will take it forward. There are so many work we have to do it. So we are opening a school for tribal children, and hopefully we will teach them education in mother tongue, and tribal department will be there to address all these issues: land, resource and territory, jal, jungle, jameen, and jajbat, and mines and minerals, forest issues. So
Moving to the next question. Uh, are you a morning person or you are a night person? I mean, you like to wake up early in the morning, or you like to work late at night and then wake up late in the morning.
sometimes nowadays, because of novel coronavirus, whole time I'm working at office with laptop. So late night working, and sometimes as per work, I got up early in the morning, 4 o'clock, and sometimes I got late as per work. But I
Mhm.
love to wake up early in the morning, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Okay, okay. One last question. How do you see the future of like Adivasi literature? Any message that you have for the future writers? That or suggestions that you have for the future writers?
See, Dr. Ramdayal Munda, he said uh, uh, in Hindi, "Je nachi se bachi," means who are dancing, they will survive. Like that, I am saying those who are writing, they will survive. And it's a bright future of tribal literature. Tribal writers, they have very good and bright future, because of, you see, in this world, this novel coronavirus era, this virus did not touch any tribal community. In community, it is not spread, and but other parts of country, even America, it's a developed country, and other Rome and Italy and Malaysia, people are dying. Tribal people, they are not dying. So our culture, our civilization is far better than any people. So we will survive. So our future is a bright future, and tribal people is very important for the planet and for the people.
On that note, I'd officially take a bye and thank you for your time. Zina, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Kiro and Hercules. This has been a lovely session, and I hope that the attendees also enjoyed it. Also, they have mentioned in the comments that they really enjoyed the session. So, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Dr. Kiro. And the session is also live on Facebook. I will stop recording now. But just before that, I just want to mention that we have another panel coming up on the 12th. which is about multiculturalism and anti-racism with Arunava Sinha and Varud Gupta. So do register for that. I've put the link in the chat box, and follow us on our Instagram, The House of Belong, to stay updated with whatever we are doing. We have a lot of these things lined up, and do let us know what you think about the app as well. Another, the link is also in the chat box. So yes, thank you so much, everybody.